And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's now time to move on to a topic which I think my partner has been wanting to talk about for a long, long time. Yes. This week, episodes 11 and 12 of Ultimate Spider-Man came out. Um, before we allow you to launch in, Charles,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'll just get my thoughts out of the way on the series as a whole. Um, too much wackiness. Most of the characters just feel very off. What the fuck have they done to Luke Cage and Danny Rand? The Shield is everywhere and just feels out of place. Um, music, voice acting is fine. Music, bleh. Um, too much fourth wall breaks. Only two episodes out of this 12 episode run series I actually like. One of them was a ground level view of the Hulk, sort of what a Hulk attack would be like. The other one was basically involved Thor and him turning into a frog. Those are the only two episodes which I've liked of this series so far. Okay, Charles, do you want to give your opinions of this?
I hate this show. I hate it with all of my hate. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan and I hate this show.
Yes.
But yes, we're only focusing on 2 episodes so far.
Yes.
The latest two that came out, which was Venomous, where Venom again resurfaces, and if you don't know by this point, then spoiler ahead, Harry Osborn is the new Venom of the show, not Eddie Brock. He's not even in this.
Yeah.
And it basically just falls around with him going after his own father, who ultimately is the one responsible for creating Venom, because it's not an alien symbiote, it was created by Dr. Octopus by Norman Osborn. And it's basically affecting with his psyche. He's trying to appeal to his father, and it's clearly falling flat. Because if you don't know by now, Norman Osborn wants to adopt Peter Parker. It's that simple.
Yeah. Sort of everything that it's one of the things which Peter Park he doesn't want to adopt him. He just wants his powers and to basically weaponize them for military purposes.
Yes, they went a different route here. I mean, I think Peter and Norman only have one scene together now in the first episode, then it completely ends after that. There was no dilemma here of him liking Norman Osborn as like a secondary father figure and the whole, yeah, he's trying to kill him at the same time. Here, there isn't that dynamic. There's a lot of Spider-Man dynamics that are completely gone that made the comics and shows endearing. They completely got rid of that. He's the normal, everyday kid with practically no problems, except he doesn't get his weekends off because Nick Fury won't let him. That's really about as far as his dilemmas go.
Yes.
But yes, the episode 12 after that was Me Time, which I think I just said about, really. Where he wants his weekends off from Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D., and they are got cameras inside his house following him at all times, and as you would expect, that freaks him the hell out. And Venom not included, just for this short period of time, it takes us 12 episodes, not including Venom, to get Spider-Man fighting a Spider-Man villain.
And it's Dr. Octopus.
Yes, and I actually like this Dr. Octopus. They don't reveal that much about him, but his design is cool. The things added to his tentacles are awesome. Even his design is creepy, and it's mysterious, it's dark.
It does feel like basically they went the whole idea of the shut-in and sort of, okay, how can we make this guy deliberately creepy?
Yes.
Okay, give him wonky teeth, give him sort of sunken in eyes, give him long straggly hair,
yes,
and so on and so forth. Yeah,
and
but
he actually is quite a deep character. I mean, you don't learn that much about him, not even in this one episode, but there's a scene where he is fighting Spider-Man and he's looking into this mirror, and you just see this quick flash of him, and he just whispers to himself, "I was handsome once," and that was a powerful scene.
so like all that characterization, all of that is just going to be lost on the audience.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But yes, that's literally 2 seconds of footage. Probably one of the most in-depth scenes in Spider-Man. You know, from the guy
Ultimate
who's meant to
Spider-Man,
be
yeah.
dark and has this all tragic stuff happen to him. I cared for Doctor Octopus. I didn't care for Spider-Man.
No, no one gives a toss about Spider-Man in this series.
He won me over in 1 episode, and Spider-Man hasn't done it in 12 episodes.
Mm.
Yes.
Just yeah. So this series is not going on your Christmas list, then I take it. Just that episode just sort of it just felt sort of like I liked as you say, I liked this sort of whole idea of Doctor Octopus sort of being this incredibly reclusive shut-in, but sort of particularly when it comes to it just feels like they go back to Coney Island, which was in Spectacular Spider-Man, and done as a much better scene. There's a much
Yes.
better action scene between Spidey and Doc Ock, and it's just seriously, guys, what the fuck are you doing?
Indeed, we all miss that show.
Yes, we can't have it anymore. Oh well. The
No. Shall we hold a moment of silence for it?
no. The one of the but just generally the series has just been. I mean, episode 10, which had Wolverine in it, just like it served as an itemized list about how can we emasculate Wolverine? How can we make Wolverine look like an absolute stupid, fucking weak ass character?
Switch bodies with Spider-Man!
Yeah. The thing is that most of these stories have happened in Ultimate Spider-Man, which is the ultimate continuity of the Marvel universe, and all of this stuff. Most of these stories, switch bodies with Spider-Man, the whole, I think the traveling to the Norse God realm, the black suit, obviously, and so on and so forth. All of these stories which have happened in the episodes have been done within the comics. But the thing is that the comics, they were allowed to actually go to more adult places. So, like in the comics, when Wolverine and Spider-Man have that sort of mind flip, Wolverine in Spider-Man's bodies has sex with Mary Jane. And when the episode ends, so the issue ends with Mary Jane sort of coming back with Peter, and she knows about his identity at this point, and she says, "Yeah, I really enjoyed what you did to me last night, but I think we can wait until we've graduated before we start doing stuff like that." It's just the ending with Peter's face is just priceless.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, but
Wolverine, what the hell have you done? This is why he should not be having kids. He needs to stop having kid sidekicks.
Poor Kitty Pryde. No. One of the things which I feel particularly sorry for is just in the series. It just feels like this series sort of they want to go there. They want to sort of have all these storylines, but they can't. And it just feels like they're trying. But one of the other things which is sort of quite interesting is the fact that if you look in the sort of background of the series, the guys who made it, they were a really big fan. Have you ever heard of a series called Young Justice at all?
Yes, I have heard of it.
Yeah, my advice is watch it because the fact is absolutely. I will pimp this show. I will pimp that show out until the end of the year because it's the Justice League Black Ops team made up of their old sidekicks, and it is fantastic. The guys who made Ultimate Spider-Man were watching that show, and basically they got a lot of influence from it. And if you could sort of have a look at the sort of superhero team, you can see that they're trying to ape having sort of a group of sort of having a group of teen superheroes and so on and so forth, basically being a sort of trainee team of heroes and so on and so forth, with a more experienced hero at the head and so on and so forth. And it just they've taken all of the sort of good stuff of that series and just thrown it out the window. It feels like this weird amalgamation of them trying to be like the comics, but they're not allowed to go there, and they're like, "Oh, we can't go there." I'm trying to be Young Justice, but just not getting the character dynamics at all. The Spider-Man trying too much to be Deadpool and all that sort of stuff. I can't wait for the episode with Deadpool where Spider-Man begins to have these fourth wall breaks, and Deadpool just breaks in and says, "Wait, I'm still fighting."
Yes. I have okay. I don't really have three major problems with the show, but I could go on till every finger on both my hands. But,
Let's summarize.
I'm trying to summarize. The major problems I have with the show, beyond the silliness wall break and the fact that Peter Parker's humor is not funny in the slightest, despite the fact I lost my temper when Nick Fury says, "Forget your lame-ass web shooters you created. It was what made you so smart and intelligent. You're gonna have Shield brand because ours is way better." I shouted betrayal at my TV screen. I hated that moment. But yes, my three major faults. One of them being in Spectacular Spider-Man and even the animated show back in the 80s, 90s, the stories had a flowing arc. They led into one episode and they would lead into another with some point where you at one point needed backstory for several episodes, and there was always a hint throughout they're leading this way and that way, and all these plot turns and side plots coming in. Here, it is literally the episodes of the week. You could jump in at any point and be just about as clueless. There was no character development in any sense, even major ones where Harry Osborn becomes jealous of Spider-Man's new team, who now to the same school as him, to learn group friendship and all that stuff. There's an episode dedicated to him where he's jealous of Peter's newfound friendship, and he tries to get back at him by inviting the entire school to a party he has at his house, saying, "Yeah, this is how you made me feel." And at the end of it, he accepts Peter's friend and says, "Okay, I'll give them a chance." But you never see it actually happen. They just literally sit down and they never share a conversation with Harry or Mary Jane ever again. There is no character dynamic. There is no relationship build. It is literally just, let's get on with the plot and whatever S.H.I.E.L.D. has to show off today. Yes, you can look at the first episode, then jump straight to the 12, and you won't see any little hints that says, "Oh, look, these guys grew closer. Oh, look, these guys are kind of drifting apart." Even in Spectacular Spider-Man, they knew their secondary cast, and even people like Flash Thompson, the bully of Peter Parker, had depth to him, while in this one, he's literally just the bully. There's no really. They've all got their one thing. Mary Jane wants to be reporter for the Daily Bugle. Harry wants to appeal to his father. The team wants to learn about teamwork without learning teamwork, and there's nothing beyond that. You don't really dig deeper into what makes them tick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Your third point?
Oh, I thought I was still on my first point.
Yeah. Oh, fair
Wait,
enough.
did I? Okay. Moving on.
Actually, can we go back to this whole sort of episode of the week sort of thing? Is that one of the reasons that I gave for having that sort of thing is the fact that Jeff Loeb, who's the creative sort of guy behind it, who's done some all right comic work. He's done he did Batman Hush, and he also did Batman The Long Halloween, both of which I really, really enjoyed. But he also did Ultimates 3 and Ultimatum from the Ultimate Universe. So he's had a mixed comic book record. He's the guy who's sort of creative in charge of this, and he said his reason for having them all episodic is, well, that's the kind of series I grew up with. That's the kind of series that I think kids would enjoy a lot more. It's just, yeah, that's the kind of thing you enjoyed. But bearing in mind, you were watching stuff like Captain Planet, possibly, and stuff which was very sort of episode of the week. Nowadays, kids are capable. Now we're capable of sort of looking at story arcs and so on and so forth. If we miss an episode, we can go. If we miss an episode, we can literally go online, go onto Wikipedia, because a summary of it will be up there, and we will be up to date with it. Hell, we could go onto YouTube and sort of catch clips of the episode we've missed. Hell, we could go onto, I don't know, watch cartoons online, for example. I don't know, and they'll have the episode there. It's not as though if we miss an episode, we're going to miss some vital piece of character development. Yeah. We will know how this starts, how it will go, and so on and so forth. I mean, kids today aren't that stupid. They've got the internet. They've got access to reams and reams of information. So it's not as though they're going to be sort of completely lost.
Yes.
But sort of having it in an episode of the week, I can understand why it would make sense, but also, yeah, it doesn't really make sense if you look at it from the modern day's perspective.
Yes. My last and major problem with the show is really my own personal prejudice when it comes to this, because when I watch shows like Justice League, I can believe that all these heroes have their own little settings, have their own rogue gallery, own supporting cast, but I can see them coming together to form the Justice League and fighting a bigger cause. Here, I could do the same thing with the Avengers, but for reasons that astounded me, I was always against Spider-Man leaving my own personal little box that I put him in. Because when it came to people like Iron Man, I didn't really care much for his villains, but I loved his side cast. And sometimes with X-Men, I loved their villains, not so much some of the X-Men. But here, Spider-Man had everything I ever wanted from a superhero show. I love the main character, I love his dilemmas, I love his supporting cast, every last one of them, and I love his villains because I think he has the best villains. So when you jump him into this other stuff saying, yeah, we're not going to have time to develop any of these characters, so instead we're going to bring Loki, we're going to bring in the Frost Giants, we're going to bring in these guys from the first episode, the Frightful Four, who were more of the Fantastic Four's villains and all that. I'm like,
No, they weren't the Fantastic Four villains. They were the Hulk's villains.
oh, Hulk's villains.
That's a whole mixed thing.
Yes,
thing with that.
We have all that stuff going on, and I'm just like, I don't care for any of it.
But how can you say you don't care for Batroc the Leaper? He's French.
Yes, I mean, even in the old shows, Spider-Man was always teaming up like the Hulk, Iron Man, and all that stuff. But here, they're practically dedicating this. It shouldn't be called the Ultimate Spider-Man. It should be called Nick Fury and Shield. But
Nick Fury, Agent of Shield.
Yes,
that was actually
because that's really all it's about. It's promoting Shield because woohoo, we love Avengers. Avengers is awesome. Shield wasn't really awesome, but it was the main reason Avengers got off the ground. And here it's like they're literally just kneeling at the ground of the wonderfulness that is Nick Fury. I mean, in the first episode, he shows up, Peter Parker, saying, "Hi, you've been a hero for a whole year now, and you suck. And I'm going to train you to be the ultimate Spider-Man." And it's like, spectacular Spider-Man. Peter Parker had been Spider-Man for half a year, and he was already doing way better than this guy. So yeah, they're not really making S.H.I.E.L.D. look magnificent more than they're just trying to dumb down Spider-Man, because even if you watch the episodes, if you came straight in, you wouldn't even know Peter Parker was meant to be the smart, geeky kid, because he's dumb as a brick.
Sort of like, I mean, in one of the more recent episodes is the fact that he sort of like goes, "Yeah, I bet you forgot that I was a science geek."
Yes, I did!
What? No! That's one of the core things of his character. You built your own web shooters. You managed to develop a technology that the army would pay millions for. A technology which you managed to create webbing, which is sort of organic, can support your own weight, is super strong, and can dissolve within a couple of hours. And yeah, now only you're sort of like saying, "Yeah, I'm a science geek as well."
Yes. Of course, the major problem comes from the team he has to lead, because I've always agreed Spider-Man does terrible with teamwork. He always tries to get out of working with people, or he's dragged into it, he rises to the occasion, but overall, no, he wants to go solo. Kind of like Tony Stark wants to go solo, but the universe won't let him, but in his case, it's good and it's funny. Yes, with Spider-Man, he's leading Nova, White Tiger, Power Man, and Iron Fist. And after 12 episodes, I can't tell you anything about these guys. I had to do a quick Wikipedia search just to know anything about them, and the show never tells you anything about this stuff I just learned in the course of 5 minutes.
Apart from anything else, the show, and as I said before, absolutely wastes Danny Rand and Luke Cage's sort of personas. Because I mean, you've done a Wikipedia search of them. Luke Cage was the original sort of soul brother, whole soul brother stereotype. This brilliantly, wonderfully sort of this wonderfully sort of epic and funny character who basically does a shakedown for Doctor Doom for $20 by basically hijacking the Quinjet and flying over to Latveria in the middle of Doctor Doom Fortress and starts demanding his money. Can you imagine the guy from Ultimate Spider-Man doing anything like that?
No, this guy takes a grudge personally.
Yeah.
$20. That's worth going to another nation for.
I think it was 20. It was either $20 or $200. Either way, it's pittance.
Yes.
It's like it's sort of. I mean, all of them are sort of Danny Rand. The character is just all he does is spout cliches and so on and so forth. He spouts cliches and this god awful sort of Chinese proverb stuff. Nova is just a prick.
Yes, no one likes him.
White Tiger is meant to be a badass, but at the same time, it just feels kind of like
she complains a lot. She was clearly meant to be the lead of this group. I imagine this of Spider-Man always interacting with this team that seems to be taking over his turf in Manhattan, and White Tiger would be leading them, and they would try to get Spider-Man to join him, but it'll be like, nope, not happening. And I was wondering, like, would it be like the end of the season where he becomes leader or something?
Yeah.
Even for the episodes when they're learning teamwork, they don't grow as a team.
No, it's one of those situations where they say they've learnt life lessons,
Yes,
but
I mean,
really they haven't.
yes, in the first few episodes where literally they've just gone to his school and they devoted their loyalty to him, and nothing's really changed. I mean, they'll argue and they'll criticize as well, but at the end of the day, they're just like, yeah, we obediently follow you, master leaders, and it's like, Spider-Man hasn't really earned that.
No, he's just been given it. I mean, it would have been one of the things, as you said, one of the things that could have been interesting is if Shield had much more of a totalitarian role with this. Like Spider-Man was sort of going around doing all his stuff, and then Shield's sort of Nick Fury came down and said, "Okay, kid, you've done good work. Why don't you come work for me?" And Spider-Man goes, "Well, actually, I'm kind of more sort of on my own sort of thing." And Nick Fury could have gone, "What? A bit more of a loner." And Nick Fury could have gone, "Okay, I've tried being nice. I've tried offering you all this stuff. Now we're going to be hunting you down."
Yes, because obviously I'm not good with comics as you are, but I think there's actually a comic where he literally turns around to Spider-Man and says, "You may be underage, but when you're 18, you're mine," and he literally threatens him.
Yeah, this is again. I think it's Ultimate Spider-Man because but Peter Parker in this sort of main Marvel universe has passed being 18 a long time ago.
Yes.
The guy got married, had a kid, won the Pulitzer Prize, and then suddenly Mephisto happened, and now he's back to being 16.
Yes. Because he just keeps getting younger and younger. He's so cute. Yes. Although, besides all that, the major issue comes from Peter Parker himself, because whether we like to admit it or not, the reason we like Spider-Man is because we feel better about ourselves when we see his life, because it sucks, it's crappy as hell, and you feel sorry for the guy, but you're like, hey, it's not me. But yeah, here, what made him so enduring was part of the things that happened are his fault, and it's his responsibility, and he's rising up to the occasion where obviously they keep the fact Uncle Ben's death was his fault. Well, they don't really say it, but it's hinted at that because everyone knows the mythos by now. But yeah, things like he feels responsible for Uncle Ben's death, so he feels responsible for taking care of his Aunt May. Now, Aunt May has got some good character development because she's independent in this one. She is working because it's the modern day. Of course, she would have a job in the modern day if it's 2012. And she's bringing an income to the house, so the Parkers don't have money problems now, which means Spider-Man has no responsibility to earn money for his Aunt May. He has no responsibility to take pictures of himself, haul himself off to the Daily Bugle so they can literally talk trash about him. So there's no reason for him to work for the Daily Bugle, which sadly means we don't really get much.
We don't get J. Jonah Jameson nearly as often as we should.
Ultimate Spider-Man, shame on you for having Jonah Jameson and not using him. Shame on you. But yes, since he has no reason to put up.
Despite, I will like to add, despite the fact that they've managed to get J.K. Simmons to voice J. Jonah Jameson.
Yes.
The guy who the dude played him live action. You managed to get this guy to do an animated version of himself. And you're not using him.
No, I mean, he's constantly on a screen, and I'm not really sure why if he runs a newspaper, and he's just literally every other second it's his giant mug on the big screen just talking about how much he hates Spider-Man, and it's like, this is the very definition of a broken record. Why are they still letting him talk the same thing every Tuesday night?
It's wasted potential. It's like getting Adam West in to play Batman, and Batman only appears for 2 seconds.
Yes, but other things about the character Spider-Man. What made him again so enduring was the fact all these villains interrupted with his personal life to the point where he was forgetting dates with his girlfriends, the point where they thought he was just messing around with them. He was forgetting helping a friend like Harry with his homework, and it feels like he's neglecting his friends, he's not doing his homework, so the teachers think he's lazy now. And none of it's his fault, but he can't tell anyone it's not his fault, so he's literally looked down upon as a bad person by the people that love him, and he can't do anything about it. But here, he has no issues. We constantly see him doing okay in class. He's good in his science and chemistry. He has time. He has all the free time in the world. I mean, his biggest dilemma is that S.H.I.E.L.D. won't give him his weekends off. Spider-Man has no free time. His life was never in his control.
It's one of those things with, particularly with Aunt May. So you say that she's got character development. Not really. I mean, we see literally about, totally we've seen about 10 minutes of her, and that's including her sort of buggering off elsewhere, basically to go dirt biking. It's one of those situations where we just see literally it's literally 30 seconds of her in an episode, and she's just doing all this sort of cool out there sort of stuff, and it's like, hey, what a cool Aunt May is, and it's just like, not really. You don't really get that good sort of character development. She just comes across as basically, if I'm honest, comes across as a little bit of an irresponsible parent.
Yeah, probably is actually, yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like, she's doing all of this cool stuff, and Peter's just meant to, and Peter Parker is going off, basically being Spider-Man and so on and so forth. It's not as though I'm expecting her to be in the 21st century to be this dowdy housewife who's sort of constantly taking care of everyone, but at the same time, a little bit of balance.
Yes, because there's the whole dilemma of it even went so far with Aunt May saying he was constantly out late when he shouldn't be, and he was worrying her sick. She thought he was rebelling against her, and that he still blamed her for Uncle Ben's death when really he didn't. It's just a whole misunderstanding between them, and that's gone as well.
Is it? I really, the whole dynamic between Uncle Ben actually has gone. Sort of, Spectacular Spider-Man did it really, really well. Sort of, whole first episode is like, yeah, you know about Uncle Ben and so on and so forth, and he has obviously got this baggage. But when you actually find it out, this is at the very end of the sort of series 1, and you find all this stuff. It all sort of plays out, and it all makes sense. And it is his darkest moment of his life. Here, I think we get one mention of him, episode 1, and it's from Nick Fury of all people.
Yes, and for the weirdest reason, they're celebrating with a cake the day he died, which happens to be his birthday at the same time. I was confused by that.
Yes. One of the things which I think I really, really want in this series for Nick Fury to just... I want Nick Fury to be revealed as a fucking Skrull, if I'm honest.
Yes. I was also... there was also an episode where one of them, a villain, when they're stuck in the school, and I think it's, what was it, Taskmaster or someone?
It was
Yes, and
Taskmaster,
he turns
yes.
around and says Nick Fury betrayed him. He set him up for something, and it's the reason he's the person he is today. After hearing
Mm,
that, you will be a bit suspicious of Nick Fury's motives,
yeah,
considering he literally drafted Spider-Man into this to begin with. He makes it feel like it's Spider-Man's choice, but really, he's playing him from the start to join S.H.I.E.L.D. And
yeah. I
Spider-Man
kind of
never questions it. He never says, is Nick Fury playing me? Is he secretly a bad guy? It's never brought up.
it's too complicated for the kiddies.
Mm.
Taskmaster actually really fantastic performance by Clancy Brown as basically being a paedophile gym teacher.
Kind of,
And
yes.
that was fucking creepy as all hell. Screw him being Lex Luthor. Taskmaster, the paedophile gym teacher, has got me having cold showers for the rest of my life.
It's just the way he looks at Peter Going's right height, right build.
Right height, right build. Oh dear.
Oh, dear.
It just.
Hmm.
Oh.
Yes, I'm trying to think of one final thing to say I didn't like about this show.
It's sort of a general thing, rather.
Yes.
I just love the fact that we haven't talked about any of the episodes at all. We've just been bitching about the show for
Well, I can do
nearly
both
half
at the
an
same
hour.
time if you want.
If you could wrap up one more thing.
A particular episode, which was episode 4, when we're introduced to Venom. I think it kind of goes without saying everyone's favorite comic or so is when Peter Parker gets the symbiote. He uses it, then like a drug addict, he becomes addicted to it. And he gets to the point where he has to try and get rid of it, but it clings to him like some weird, clingy jealous girlfriend or something like that. And here they completely ruin that because I'm going to admit it out loud, even though Venom is the most popular villain, I never cared for him. It was always Green Goblin with me, so I liked the symbiote when it was just with Peter Parker. I never liked it when it was the Venom. And here it was completely ruined because it literally goes after Spider-Man, then it goes after all of the other heroes. Yet for some reason it knows where Peter Parker is and it wants to get him, but for some reason it's jumping between heroes. Obviously, it goes through Flash Thompson. It goes through all of his team members except for White Tiger. And it's jumping between them. Then it merges with Spider-Man for a whole of like 5 minutes before he's fighting against it. And it was like, no, you ruined probably my most favorite plot of the comics.
One of the things I always like, one of the things which I think would have been really interesting as a character, as sort of a moment in Spectacular Spider-Man, is if Venom jumped onto MJ
Oh yes, that would have been awesome.
and sort of took hold of her her obvious crush on Spider-Man. It's just like,
Yes.
ugh, wasted plot. But
Yes,
yeah,
because originally I think Venom was meant to be a female villain anyway, but they changed it to a male because of the whole, no one's going to be intimidated by a female supervillain. Oh, the old days, so naive.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'm just wondering whether they say the same when they saw. God, what's it? No, I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to think of. Oh dear. No, my mind's gone blank.
Yes, MJ
yeah,
needs
anyway.
to be the new Venom.
Yes, MJ needs to be the new Venom. Apart from anything else, we have a redhead
Yes,
in
but I
that
agree
suit.
with you. I like the episode with Thor when he turns into a cute little frog. I enjoyed the episode
Yeah.
with the Hulk, even though every few seconds it's kind of like Twilight, where Spider-Man says, "No, MJ, stay away from me," then he drags her along. Yes.
Yeah. It's not quite like Twilight because of the
Oh,
fact
come on, Ed Cullen did
neither
the
of
same
them.
thing. Bella, stay away from me. I'm gonna follow you now.
Stay away from
Yes,
me.
but there were some good
Actually-
episodes, but it was normally when other heroes came into the picture.
Yeah, this sort of. Yeah, so generally, our general thoughts of the series
Yes.
abysmal. I think is the best way.
But
the best way to
hopefully
put it.
next week, when episode 13, Strange Days with Doctor Strange, hopefully it'll be a good episode.
Yes. Yes, Doctor Strange! Hooray! I'm sorry. He's one of those superheroes who sort of like in the Marvel universe. He's got so much potential. He's the
But
master
no one uses
mystic.
him.
No one uses him.
No.
I think the last time any decent storyline came up from him was when he was part of Tony Stark's Illuminati sort of thing, where all the most intelligent people basically decided, you know what, let's get the Hulk off the planet, and that led into Planet Hulk. and World War Hulk, and the Red Hulk stuff. Yes, it's so much awesome stuff could come from this character, but nothing ever
Yes.
does. This is the same guy who sort of had a master who basically made it so that a demon lord could not come into this world unless he took the form of a squirrel.
Fans, if you're listening, we need to get a petition started to get Doctor Strange his own cartoon because that would be the best show ever.
Well, not his own cartoon. I think he can make a decent sort of. He made a sort of reasonably decent animated movie. It was sort of it was one of those movies which was
Yeah.
it was all right. They just kind of buggered up a couple of the characterization stuff because they made Stephen Strange a whiny git. Ugh. If they made a movie of him, if he joined the ranks of the Avengers, then that
Yes,
would be
but it
awesome.
leading up to Wolverine
Yeah.
and hopefully the new Spider-Man if it's any good because we haven't seen the movie yet, have we?
No, we haven't. It hasn't been released over here.
Technically, I
Though,
think it
what
has.
sort of thing?
Yes, my brother's
Oh, really?
friends have
Yeah.
actually seen it and they enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've been hearing some mixed things about it. Some people are saying it's rubbish. Some people saying it's excellent. I'm gonna hold judgment on it. It's the same way I'm gonna be holding judgment on Avengers Assemble. I'm gonna be holding judgment on that as well, even though we had to lose Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes for
Indeed.
it. Yes, but yeah. Anyway, I think that's a good
Right.
time to end off. So, right, so it's good night from me. All the stuff is gonna be down in the below bar, and we'll see you next
Thanks for
time.
listening.
Goodbye.